Hello, and welcome to the Wake Up Call Talk Show. I'm your host, Annie Sally. Well, I'm super excited about the show on this evening. We're in the Authors Showcase, and we have another dynamic author to introduce. Dr. Michael Figures is a dynamic leader, and he is the author of Characteristics of an Effective Team Player. That's good news. Get ready, get ready, get ready. It's going down on the Wake Up Call Talk Show because, see, you can be doing a good thing, but not being effective. So, tonight, my friend, Dr. Figures, will help compel you into effectiveness so that you can do all that God has called you to do. Well, get ready. Let's go into the show.
It's time for your wake-up call. Wake up the passion and God's purpose in you. In the Wake Up Call radio show, join host Pastor Warren and Annie Sally and their guests for a powerful dialogue. Real talk for everyone. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Hello, and welcome back, Dr. Figures.
Hello, how you doing, Miss Sally? Good to see you. Good to be here.
I'm doing well, and I'm glad to have you here. I read this dynamic book, and I am so excited about you sharing with our viewers and our listeners.
Wow, I'm excited as well, and thank you so much for this opportunity.
Oh, it's my honor. And I know I'm going to have you back because it's so much information in this book. And so I will definitely have you back so we can continue the conversation. But what inspired you to write Characteristics of an Effective Team Player? What inspired you to do that?
Well, Annie, I tell you, I think back over, I've been a part of ministries for over 30 years. Mm-hmm. I also have been in education. I mean, I taught public school music for 17 years, and I built bands. I developed choruses, even elementary school productions, did all of that for over 30 years. And what I began to notice in working in ministry and working in education, that those teams that I built and those teams that I developed or that I supervised, I was the president of the Florida Bandmasters Association for 3 years. And what I noticed is that there were certain things or certain characteristics that made winning teams. And then there were other things that destroyed your team. And as I look back over my life, and especially when I was thinking about writing this book, what inspired me was just all of those nuggets throughout the years that resonated toward building effective teams. As you said at the very beginning of the show, you can actually be doing the right thing, but if you're doing the right thing the wrong way, you're going to get negative results. And so what I did was I coined and honed all of those things that I've learned over the years into one tool that I use to educate and help develop teams in the education circles, in the church circles, in the sports arena, all of that.
All right. So you have the tools, and you're going to share those tools with us tonight. I'm excited about that.
Me too.
Like I mentioned before the show, I know that you're a dynamic leader. I've watched your ministry, and I've watched you do it in excellence. And so when I saw this book, I said, oh my gosh, this is what I need to do. I need to invite him to the show to help us do those things that God has called us to do more effectively. Exactly. Because we could be doing a good thing, but doing it the wrong way or doing it the hard way. And so let's talk about building an effective team.
Okay. Let's do that. In order to build an effective team, the first thing that you gotta have is purpose, and that is a clear, succinct, hands-on vision. You got to have a communicable vision. That is, what is it that I'm trying to do and why? That's the first thing. And in order to actually push any group of people, whether large or small, toward accomplishing something great, they got to have a reason. They got to have a reason to do it. Now, also a part of that is not just having a vision, but you got to have a visionary. You need a leader. You need a leader who's who recognizes not only what the vision is and what you want to accomplish, but one who can actually communicate that vision in a clear fashion to those on the team. But not only that, that leader must also recognize, respect, support, and celebrate the gifts of those persons on the team. And I'll talk about that a little later. That is so important because it's one thing to have team players, but if you don't allow those team players to use their gifts and actually display what they know, you're not really gonna get to the goal in the way that you really, really want to get there and the excellence that you want to display it in. And then also along with that, you got to have the right people on the team. One of my mentors, John Gordon, who's one of the biggest, most noted team players, team builders in the nation, and in my opinion, in the world. John Gordon said this: you got to have the right people on the bus. You got to have the right people with the right skill sets. Because if you don't, you can have everybody who's good at graphic design, but then you can have no communicators. So you got to have the right people on the bus in order to perpetuate and actuate your vision.
That's good. And that's for every vision. Is that correct?
Yep. Yes.
Whether it's corporate, whether it's small business, whether it's church, it's the same. You have to have the right person, the right people in the right places.
Yes. That is so right, Miss Sally, because you can have, it doesn't matter what kind of business, it doesn't matter what kind of organization, it's doing the right things the right way. And that's whether it's a sports team, whether it's a church staff, whether it's a school faculty, whether it's a small business, whether it's a large business, the principles are the same. And that's what this book reflects. It reflects those principles that are applicable to any kind of organization that's trying to actuate a dream effectively.
Wonderful.
So you're right. It's transferable across the board.
That's right. And that's awesome. I am big on leadership because I've seen a lot, owning 5 businesses, being in church all of my life, leadership in church and that type of thing. And one of the things that really grieved me was leadership.
Wow.
I have a love for leadership because I can grab a vision that's very clear and that's focus oriented, and I can help you get the ball down the court.
Gotcha.
If you explain it well. And you talked about that when you talked about the quarterback. I had to tell my husband about that. The quarterback get the information. Now it's up to him to share it with his team players. Now, if he doesn't convey that information correctly, then it's going to mess up the whole team.
It's going to tear up everything, and whatever you're trying to shoot for, it's just going to mess it up, because that leader has to be skilled enough. And I don't necessarily mean to be able to impress anybody with language, because there are a lot of people who got glib tongues who sound good. But can I communicate what our goal is and our strategy in a way that all of my team players, and however they learn and however they grasp, that they can understand what we're trying to do? And then each one of those team players can say confidently, okay, this is my part in this strategy. Because the quarterback has a role, the linebacker has a role, the halfback has a role, the wide receiver has a role. And so if everybody's trying to run down the field to catch the ball, can you imagine the catastrophe? You'll never get it done. You'll never get it done. So you're right. That leader has to communicate not only the strategy and the goal, but also make it clear enough that every team player knows what his role is on the team and get it done.
Absolutely. When you talked about all the team members running down the court trying to get the ball, it reminds me of today's church. I don't think the corporate church has a good view on what leadership is. They feel as though certain positions in a church is more notable than the doorkeeper, than the usher. And it's not true. It's how you execute your part. Because remember, there is no I in team,
Right.
you know, and it
Right.
starts at the door. So I need a great usher at that door, as well as a great communicator in the pulpit.
Exactly.
And then when I walk out, or when someone walk out, they're going to view the big picture, not just what the pastor said. Because I've been in lots of places where the ushers were very unattached and they wasn't as gracious as they should be. And they were, you know, kind of mean and laid back and that type of thing. And so that cast a bad feel on the ministry, because we're supposed to say the same thing. We're supposed to bring this big picture together. And it's everyone on the team has their role. And I love that you said that they have a role to play. In society, we have a role to play. In the body of Christ, we have a role to play. I'm
Right.
too busy trying to follow my role to get into your role.
There you go.
When
There you
I
go.
get before God, He's going to charge me for my role.
Right.
Not
Right.
who hindered my role,
Right.
but for me bringing my role into play. My husband says, hello, Dr. Figures.
Tell Brother Sally I said hello. Good to see you, man.
He's actually online. We have
Oh,
Judy
wow.
Wolf online. How we communicate the message is important. Absolutely. And then
Exactly.
we have Norma online since blessing. This is a powerful teaching.
Wow.
That's great. So let's go a little further. You talked about building the effective team, and you addressed the characteristics of an effective team player. And then now let's talk about the importance of having a leader. And I think you talk a little bit about that, but can you give us an example, an importance? How important is it to have a leader with a clear vision? I've been in many places. I've worked for many companies where the vision wasn't as clear.
Right.
Yeah. So talk about
I got you. You really stir up a lot of different thoughts, and I know that our time is limited here. But
okay.
Yeah, I start off the book talking about the importance of having not only a clear vision, but also an effective leader. And, you know, there are hundreds and hundreds, I'd even say thousands of books that are built, that are written on leadership. And our leadership guru, John Maxwell, says everything rises and falls on leadership. I believe that. I believe that wholeheartedly. But we have to have a clear understanding of what leadership is. And Jesus exemplified servitude.
Mm-hmm.
And that leader, whoever that leader is, if you're going to be effective, you have to have the mind of a servant. In other words, my role as a leader is to make sure that everybody on my team becomes their best. So what is my job? To actually help teach, train, serve, and help support the gifts that God has given you so that the vision is actuated. And we just talking plain talk here today, Miss Annie. So I'm just going to say it. There are too many leaders, and I'm not just talking about pastors, but there are too many leaders that feel that my being a strong leader means that everybody must serve me, everybody must please me, everybody must make me look good. And actually what you're doing is you're buying into a culture, we'll talk about that a little later, a culture of just basically making a person look good rather than carrying out the vision. A few minutes ago, you talked about every joint, every person is important, every role is important. When I look at my body and I look at my hand has a certain role. My elbow has a certain role. My knees have a certain role. My feet have a certain role. But all of those roles are important. As the leader, I've got to make sure that every part of my body or every part of the team knows, feels, and is confident that they are important. You mentioned everybody talks about ushers, and you know, as you know, I was director of worship arts and music here in Charlotte of a large church, and one of my roles was to supervise not only the ushers, but the altar greeters, as well as the music and all of that. And it was amazing that when I came in, one of the first things that I did was I told a bunch of stories about how ushers can be. But actually, as you said, an usher is the person that is actually the face of the ministry. It's not necessarily the leader in the pulpit. That's my first touch. And I'm gonna get an impression about this ministry when I first meet that usher, because you're the first one that I meet, and the way you greet me helps me shape how I feel about the leader. But as a leader, I've got to make that usher, number one, understand how important she or he is, understand the importance of their role, and if I have to, demonstrate to them how they are to carry it out so that they can rightly represent the ministry. So that leader has to not only have the vision and know the vision, but exemplify the vision by being a servant and making everybody on that team feel important and know that they are important.
That's powerful. That is so powerful. Every joint supplies.
Yeah.
Every joint supplies. That's powerful. You know, I can run into something and bump a toe, and it sets my whole body into havoc. I mean, everything just seems like it hurt just from that toe. And it's because it's a part of the whole.
Right.
You know? And if something's not going on well in the body, it makes the whole person sick. You know, it sets you back. It hinders you because the joint supplies strength to the other part of the body. And that's just like the body of Christ. So when you're out of order, then it shifts the focus on one limb a little more. Just like if you sprain your ankle, you know, it shifts all that weight from the ankle you sprain to the ankle now carrying both the weight, both sides of it. And that's how the body of Christ is. And that's why people are, they're frustrated and they're burnt out because they're carrying more weight and they're carrying too much weight. Just like we talked early on about Moses, God had given him a great job to do, but Moses was trying to shoulder all the weight of all the people. And his father came and said, hold up, this is not right. This is too hard. He said, section these people out into groups and let different one be team leaders. And then that leader can come back and be responsible for getting the information to you versus thousands of people. He was there from morning to night because he was stretching himself too far and burning himself out. And I see a lot of ministries, a lot of corporations are doing the same because they want to micromanage the ministry and their organization.
Exactly. Miss Sally, you, as I say, you stir up a lot of thoughts in me. One of the main ingredients, and this is why I penned the book, one of the main ingredients in a successful, effective, winning team, regardless to what industry it is trust. And it's so hard to do that unless you really know your team players. Right. If I'm gonna start from a leadership standpoint. If I, as the leader, don't trust the gifts, the talents, and the skill sets of those that are on my team, I'm going to do exactly that. I'm going to micromanage everybody. And regardless to how much of a dynamic I may think that I am, I can't do everything. I don't know how to do everything. I'm not good at everything. We all got gifts. And there are those who feel that, well, okay, I can do everything better than everybody on the team. You're going to have a very, very weak team if you can do everything better than everybody on the team. A smart leader, smart coordinator, smart supervisor is one who puts around him, builds his team with those who can do things that he cannot, so that they can be at its best. Now, this is the shift, though, Annie, is that I penned the book Characteristics of an Effective Team Player is because, as you just said, there are those who will carry more weight than they should have to carry because you have team players who are not carrying their weight. And like I said, there are thousands of books written on leadership, and rightly so, and that's good. I think that's important. But I wanted to address the individuals on the team because those individuals have roles, they have gifts, they have responsibilities. And if you're not carrying out your responsibility the right way, and if you don't know what that responsibility is, or if you don't know the skill sets that it requires, then you're going to be a weak link in the team, and somebody's going to have to compensate for the part that you're not carrying. So that's why we say the characteristics of an effective team player. Because first of all, you got to know your job. You got to know what it is that you're supposed to do and what it is that you're supposed to bring to the table. And you got to have the skills in order to deliver on that. But Annie, not only must you know what you are supposed to bring and what you're supposed to know, you got to also know what you don't know, because you'll try to do things that you're not skilled to do, and you won't trust the ones who have those skill sets. I'm a good speaker, and I'm a good talker, and I can communicate a vision. But I'm a horrible graphic designer, and so if you want me to design the website for the company, you're gonna probably fire me real soon, because that's just not my gift. That's just not what I do. I got ideas. I got what it's supposed to look like at the end, but to put it together, that's somebody else's role. And so therefore I must celebrate their role, make them feel good about doing it, and then applaud them when they do a good job, so that it's not that everybody's just doing something to make me as the leader look good, but I got to celebrate those individual team players so that they'll know that my part is just as important as any other part on the team.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Good leaders teach others how to lead.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
When I see an organization or a church and everyone is looking to the leader for direction, I feel a little leery because something is missing. Either the leader is swaying everyone to worship them and not the vision, or there is no vision.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You just described, Annie, the whole area in the book that I talk about culture. The leader of the team, whether it's business, it's sports, whether it's education, regardless, whether it's church, the leader is responsible for guiding the culture of the team. And what is the culture of any team? That is how we operate, how we treat one another, how we work together, and the purpose for which we do what we do. In other words, when you go to Chick-fil-A, everybody treats you a certain way, and then you hear "my pleasure" at the end. That's a part of the culture. And what has to be ingrained is, I'm not just saying that because it's a good phrase, but I've got to treat you like it's my pleasure to serve you. And as your leader, I've got to make sure that that culture is communicated and cascaded down throughout the team. And if I don't exemplify that, you mentioned a minute ago about trusting. If I don't trust you to be able to do that, then I won't treat you like you're valuable. But when I treat you like I trust you to do that, I don't take your job and then try to do it for you because you made a mistake. I don't take your job and embarrass you in front of the team, but it's how I interact. If there's a problem or there's a situation that we as team members got to fix, we want to always, part of culture, a good effective culture is to always attack a problem, attack the issue, never the team player. If you're embarrassing your team players, or if you're calling them on the carpet in front of everybody and you're not actually attacking the issue, then your team members are not going to trust you. And they're going to only show you what they need to give you in order to either get paid or in order for them to stay a part of the team. Culture is so vital, and every organization has one. Every organization has a culture. They may not know how to describe it, but they do. There's culture in every organization. And as the leader has to make sure that I guide that.
That's powerful. My sister said, good leaders are good followers. Exactly.
I can't teach you to follow if I can't demonstrate how.
Absolutely. But then, I want to say this, that, in church, we're good to say that you're supposed to be a follower. And that's good when it comes to structure. But God has called us all to lead as well. And I think the reason that there's so much weight on one part of the body is because those leaders do not find or celebrate the gifting or even find time to pull the giftings out of people, even in corporations. You know, people have been doing the same thing for 20, 30 years, no elevation, no nothing. And sometimes they feel as the leader is looking over them. But sometimes I think it's our fault. Maybe you're not showing leadership quality. You know, you can be a good worker, but if you're aggressive and you never smile and you're a troublemaker, now you're a great worker, but are you ready for leadership? So talk about that.
You are right in the middle of that third quarter of the book, because and I know we've been talking a lot about leaders today, but in their defense, because I don't ever want to appear to be someone who bashes leaders, because being a leader is a tough job. It's a tough job because everything falls back on you regardless of what happens.
Absolutely.
But in their defense, in the defense of leaders, is that it's easy to attack the one that stands out front. Mm-hmm. Remember back in the Bible when, you know, Saul was the leader of Israel and he stood taller than everybody else. Mm-hmm. If I need to blame somebody for something going wrong, usually the leader is going to be the first one to be blamed. But actually, when you look at an organization, the team players' role and their deliverables are just as important as the leader. And so the thing is that I got to, number one, be committed to my role as a team player. I got to be a worker and willing to work, because a lot of people have ideas, Miss Annie. A lot of people like to come and bring ideas to the table, but ideas for you to do, not for me to roll up my sleeves and for me to do. So if you're going to be an effective team player, yes, bring wonderful ideas, but don't just lay ideas on the table and then you want me to do all of your ideas, which means you're not responsible for any of it. But if I bring an idea, then I also got to bring the willingness to not only lead that idea, but to work, roll up my sleeves and work along with it. Attitude, commitment are vital characteristics of an effective team player. What is the attitude that I have? Am I dependable and reliable? In other words, can you depend upon me to get the job done? And am I reliable enough and not just get it done one time because I'm going to get a bonus, but reliable meaning that I will chronically and consistently deliver in an excellent way. So those are characteristics. How do I treat my fellow team players? Am I jealous of them? Or do I respect their gifts and celebrate them as well? Those are characteristics of a winning team, that I understand that your gifts are different from mine, but I'm going to celebrate yours because I know you're going to celebrate mine. That's winning culture on a team. And that has to be taught, Miss Annie. It has to be taught. And if you don't teach it, and people are just kind of do their own thing. They just kind of do their own thing. So that's a part of the culture on any winning team. Me as a team player, I got to be willing to go the extra mile and be a problem solver, not just a problem identifier.
Wow. Be a problem solver, not just a problem identifier. You talk about the culture and what it comprises of: attitude, values, goal, practices, behavior shared among its members. That's one of the things that we don't see as much. A culture is so vitally important because, like you stated, we see it from the door inward. And I love that you talked about Chick-fil-A. That's a culture.
Yes.
And they look as if they are a part of the culture, not that they're just saying something. They actually look like they're feeling what they're saying. So that lets me know it dwindles down from the leader to the other members. You know, so there has to be a conversation. There has to be consistency with the vision and the goal at hand, because everyone follows through. I mean, I've never seen a disgruntled member at Chick-fil-A, you know, and they're tired. They're walking in the sun. They're outside, but they just look like they're a part of that culture. And so, oh my, Dr. Figures, this has been awesome. Any last minute thought, anything that we did not touch base on? I will definitely have to have you back so we could talk some more about the characteristics of an an effective team player, because
Right.
I think that's what we're lacking in our society. You know,
Yes.
people just pick up and do things, just pick up and set up businesses, and they don't realize how important it is to set the culture right and to be
Yes.
a part of the whole, and not
Right.
just to be the leader, but to be a
Right.
part of the whole, and to bless and to undergird each member as if they're just as important as the leader.
Exactly.
So I,
Exactly. And if I were to give any last words of advice, it is definitely, and when you just think about characteristics of a team player, you do think about the work that goes into making a winning team. But one very vital part, and this is the last part of the book that I'll address,
okay.
is that you cannot do very much good for any team or anybody else if you are not whole yourself. In other words, one of the things that your members, you got to teach your members and encourage your members on your team to do is to take care of themselves. And
Mm,
as a leader, I've got to respect their time. I got to respect their health. I got to respect their family. But as a team player, I got to make sure that I'm healthy mentally, make sure that I'm healthy physically, and make sure that I'm not spreading myself too thin. There was an organization that I was supervising, and there was one member of that organization that would always want to be there, want to be a part of every project, want to all even projects that they had no skills to support, but they wanted to be a part. And I understand the mindset. I want you to know that I'm willing to work. That is great. That is fine. But if I'm spending all my time working, then something is lacking in the family. Something is lacking at home. Your marriage is going to suffer. That relationship with those children, that's going to suffer. So you got to be balanced. You got to get enough rest. You got to take care of your body. You got to eat right. And when you come, I come with goods because I'm well, I'm whole, and I got something to contribute. But if I'm tired, if I've been fighting with my spouse all morning because I've been away for the last 4 days and 3 nights, and I have not really given ample quality time, it's going to affect all the other parts of your life. So being an effective team player means also taking care of yourself and taking care of home.
wow, 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 wow. This is awesome. Wow. That's awesome. That is
Well,
so
thank you.
great. Thank you so much for coming and being a part of the show. Dr. Figure, what's next for you? What's next? What's next? Another book?
What I hope to be, what I'm working on right now, and any of you who are listening out there, you can help me with this. The book is not an end all. It's something I'm very proud of, but it's, as you said at the beginning, Ms. Sally, it's a tool. I use it to actually come in and work with teams. And that's what's next for me. I want to travel this entire country or just sit in my office on Zoom and do trainings and clinics and workshops on how to be an effective team player. I want to work with sports teams. I'm now booking church staffs. I'm booking also educational teams, even sports teams.
That's
So
right.
what's next for me is to hit the ground, as I've already started, doing sessions and workshops and helping teams to be stronger. So if any of you can use my services, you're welcome to go to michaelfigures.com and send me a note, send me an email, or give me a call. I'll be more than happy to help and to serve and do whatever I can to help make a team a winning team.
Wow. And I support this message.
Wow.
Because you are a dynamic leader. Oh my gosh. And to teach the concepts from this book, I declare it will make all organizations much better. When
Wow.
you understand who you are and what you are called to do, you can
Yes.
stay in your lane and be effective and be
Exactly.
a part of the whole. And that's
Yes.
what it's about. Thank
That's
you
what it's about.
so much. How can our viewers and listeners get a copy of your book?
Okay. It's very, very simple. I'd like you to go to my website. Now, of course, you can get it off of Amazon, and that's one way. But I'm going to encourage you to go to my site, michaelfigures.com, and order right there on the site. It's very easy. The paperbacks are $12. The hardbacks are $21, and you can order right there on the site. You can send me a message, you can send me a note, you can send me an inquiry, and you can email me at one of two places: figuresmichael@gmail.com or teambuilder@michaelfigures.com. Teambuilder@michaelfigures.com. But it's all right there on the site, michaelfigures.com, and you can order right there.
Okay, and I will make sure to put this in the comment section so that everyone can go straight to your website.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, in my closing, you said, although an organization may consist of various departments with varying responsibility, it is important to view the entire organization as a team.
Yeah, because everybody's a part of the team. The center is just as important as the quarterback. Your roles are different, but the quarterback will never get the ball if the center does not pass it to him. And the wide receiver, you're important, yes. But if the linebackers don't block for you, then you'll never make a touchdown.
Make it.
Every part is important. And a winning team has to see that every part is important. You got to see it that way.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again. And thank you to our viewers for tuning in. Please go ahead and like and share the show. You know, we're on 15 radio platforms. If you see Wake Up Call out there, go ahead and share. I will put the link in the comment section. You can also go ahead and share it on YouTube, subscribe to our channel, and put it on Wake Up Call. You know, go ahead and share it on your Wake Up Call page or your Facebook page. This has been a dynamic show. Dr. Figures, we definitely have to have you back.
I'm so honored to be here.
We've got so much to cover.
Yeah.
We go deep, you know, not only in the organization structure, but also in the church root. We go deep, and there's so much, you know, because the way the Bible sets it up, God was concerned about us in every aspect of life, not just biblically as believers, but every aspect of life. And, you know, when I go back to Luke, 18, when he was telling Moses, you're doing this too hard.
Right.
You know, you're doing the right thing, but you're doing it too hard. There's a better way to do this.
Exactly.
You know, leaders out there. And I think this need to continue to be a conversation about characteristics and effective team players, because it's a part of every structure in our lives. Everyone. So thank you so much for coming and being a part of that. And this has concluded our show. So thank you to each and every one of you.
My honor.
You are welcome. This has been your Wake Up Call.